someone who is busier than you know what. She's got like 19 leagues going on right now that she's doing calls and traveling and all this kind of stuff. And so it's Tuesday and it's almost 10 o'clock. It's like 9:59 and something. So I'm going to bring her in less than a minute early because she's all ready to go. Kacey,
Good morning.
Kacey D, where you be? You're at home.
I am for 72 hours pretty much, but I'm home.
What does Owen have to say about this?
He is just a lovable dog and he loves everyone he stays with. So shout out to my best friend Ashley and my pet sitter Thomas and all the people that watch him because he has a great life.
Absolutely true. I ain't doubting that for a second because when you come home, I'm sure that it's like, oh, it's you. So where's my treats? What'd you get me? Where's my treats?
Whoever feeds them, they go to for sure. And I keep myself humble that way. He was Velcro dog the last day and a half though to me, so I'll take it.
Absolutely true. Bunch of different things that I want to get into you with news-wise, but I want to start first with what we call around here moments of cool.
Okay.
And this was a moment of cool that happened over the weekend, and you mentioned it was going to be a part of your itinerary. And I want to get your reaction to this moment of cool that happened over the weekend.
And in the U.S. women's national team, I found my people. The girls and women who thought it was cool to work hard, who had big dreams, and weren't afraid to say them out loud. So thank you to all my teammates on the U.S. national team, the ones that are here tonight, Krieger, Bueller, Kacey, Yael, Cindy, Tobin, Press. Thank you guys for making me better. It was an incredible privilege to play with you and play against you all these years. Thank you to all five of the coaches that I played under wearing the U.S. uniform. April, Greg, Pia, Tom, and Jill.
To be there and see someone get a blazer and get a Hall of Fame induction and get a case of the sniffles on the dais and mentioning teammates. And I know that it was important for you to be there. What was it like to see HOR get inducted?
I've known Heather since she was 16 and we are now 26. And no, in all seriousness, I've known her a lot of years and we've been through a lot of ups and downs together. And it was special because Yael introduced her, Yael Averbush, and she just got it perfectly right describing Heyo and just the kind of human she is, the kind of player she was, players she still is, still loves to play, but just the character she has. And I was incredibly proud to watch her. She gave an amazing speech as well. And just to see her have her moment post-career is tough. And I just was so happy to see it in person and to be there. We've been through a lot of things, like I said, and a lot of each other's moments, and that was the top one for sure.
Yep. And when you get to see someone who has invested as much in a bunch of different ways as you have, and to see that happen and it manifest itself into a Hall of Fame, what was it like? What was the vibe like there at the Hall of Fame induction to see all of these folks go in for all of their contributions, knowing that you had a close connection to one of them? But what was it like actually being there at the Hall of Fame induction?
That was actually my first time there, and I'm from that area. I'm from about 45 minutes away. You walk in and you just see everyone's name up above you, wrapping the whole room that's been inducted in the Hall of Fame. Heather's name was already up there, Tobin's, Chris Wondolowski, Sana, Carrie Seitz, Kevin Crow, all the inductees were already up there. So that was really cool just to be in that and see all the donated items and everything. And I got to see Carly's jersey, and Anson was there, Cindy Parlow, people that I've admired were there or in the Hall of Fame with some of their items. And so that was really cool. What I really enjoyed the most was hearing from every person that got inducted and how they have been involved in the game, and everyone has a bit of a different story. And it's just inspiring to be around that and to hear the journeys that all these people have gone on.
Who did you see there that you hadn't seen in a long time? And I just had this vision in my head of it being almost like the class reunion where you wander in and you sit there and he's like, oh, there's so-and-so. And, you haven't seen him in X number of years. And you're like, big hug and all these kinds of things. Oh, we need to share numbers and we trade numbers and text and everything. Did you get to have that moment at the class reunion where there was someone that you hadn't seen in forever that you're like, oh my God, it's great to see you?
A few of them. Rachel Bueller was one of them, who was a teammate with the women's national team. She played at Stanford. Just such a lovely human. I completely forgot she was coming. Heather had told me months ago, and then it kind of slipped my mind. And so that was really fun to catch up with her. The first night we had a kickoff party, and I'm just walking in by myself, going to look for people, and I hear Kacey White, and I turn around and it's Tobin. And I hadn't seen Tobin in, it's probably been almost 15 years. Wow. And I just haven't run into her and Kristen. And I played with Kristen Press her rookie year at Matty Jack. Kristen came up, caught up with her, caught up with Tobin. And because Tobin really hasn't been able to get to some alumni things for whatever reason. She's busiest person on earth as well. And so I haven't seen them too. So the three of them, like former teammates, and just taking off like we saw each other yesterday. And that's what's so cool about the community, is the ability to have those shared experiences and then be able to just pick right back up. So seeing the three of them, I had seen Krieger a couple times with TST, so it was nice to see her, but I've seen her more recently. But the other three, it was great to be back in touch.
Yeah, and when I was listening to the speeches, it was a no-brainer for me. When you got the shout out, I'm like, okay, she's coming on the show on Tuesday. I've got to pull that moment.
Because I did, and she said, and Kacey Nogueira was there as well, and so that's why she was like, Kacey. I didn't get the double shout out. I got the shout out, and then Kacey also got a shout out. So
I was wondering who the other one was in the room, but it was Nogueira. Okay.
Yeah, she was there with Tobin, but Heather obviously played with her as well. So.
All right. So how many different leagues did you call in the last week? Just the two?
Just two, just NWSL and MLS. Just a chill week, Only two broadcasts and a Hall of Fame induction ceremony. It's fine. It's
fine. Where do you want to start? Which league do you want to pick first?
Ooh, we can start with NWSL. I am also going to give Rob Stone a shout out. He emceed this event and was absolutely hilarious and did a great job. He should be. He's in broadcasting and he's done it for years. But I have to give him a shout out. But we can start with NWSL. I'm fine with that.
Okay, I have a Rob Stone story when we're done. So remind me. Actually, tell you what, I'm going to write it down so I don't forget. In NWSL, we finally get a win for Boston. Although they knock off Denver to do it, expansion team. Boston finally gets full points. Huzzahs and hooray! Shoot the Serpentina. They finally got the win.
It's great for Boston. I think I and everyone don't want to see a team not get a win. So this was good. They've shown they can score goals. They were leaking goals. They would get close to getting the win. They would get a tie, all these things. I think everyone could kind of see that there were pieces there. It was just a matter of getting the consistency across 90 minutes. But this is good for the league. The NWSL hangs his hat on being able to be a really tight league, tight in points. And so them getting a win, gosh, it's got to feel good for those players too.
Yeah, and now that you're finally on the board, you can kind of see everything that you've been building toward. You had the moment with Carolina where you had a lead,
yes,
and then you give up the 2-goal lead. You finish at 2-2. So you learn a couple of different things as the season's gone on here, at least early on. You learn what it takes to get a lead as a young club. Then you learn what it's like to survive a moment like that. Then this time around at home, it's like, okay, we've got a lead. You found out how to hang on and get a win instead of just hanging on for your dear life, kind of like Everton and Manchester City yesterday. But it's a different kind of hanging on that Boston got to experience for a change.
That could be critical across a season as well. You just hope to go through those learning moments and still secure points. Like, oh, we almost gave up the lead. Yes, we got 3 points instead of actually doing it. They've shown a lot of resiliency and they haven't crumbled and they've made sure they're in games even when those things have happened. I think it's a well-deserved 3 points, not because of, I didn't get to study the game or anything like that, more because of the body of work across the last few weeks, like you've said, where they've had these ups and downs. They've had good moments. They've had bad moments. They have figured out how to put it together across 90. And that was a back and forth game as well. So good for them.
Yep. And everybody was freaking out about Gotham. I think Gotham might have been freaking out about Gotham a little bit. Now Gotham's won 2 on the spin, and they're like, okay, Gotham's back. So it's like all of the concerns and chaos, at least for 7 days, have gone by the wayside because they finally have won 2 in a row.
There was a period when they had like 3 goals and people were going, what is going on with all these attacking players? You had the Jordan Dudley, you have Jaden Shaw, you have Esther, Rose Lavelle, blah, 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 Midge Purse, like bringing in Wrighton, and everyone goes, what is happening? And I had their game last Wednesday versus Chicago. They started and never looked back in that game. And what we're starting to see with Gotham is a fluidity of attack. They have a lot of creative players. I think their system is built for like a Jalen Howell as the holding mid to just sit there and destroy people and let everyone above her do everything. And she's a sophisticated holding mid, don't get me wrong. She understands how to set the attack, but she kind of holds it down and is like, go be you, go on. And that includes Midge Purse and Wrighton, who are playing outside back right now. Those are wingers. And they've been playing outside back because there's so many injuries.
Oh, okay.
And also they want all those attacking personalities on the field. So Gotham looks good and they're playing well. We know they always get better as the season goes on too. So that's a scary thought.
Yeah. So when you are, when you're playing a position kind of sorta, it's like you're outside back, but you're a winger. And how do you adjust? I guess this is where I put your coach's hat on here for a second. I guess mentality here. When you're asked to do other things that are kind of the same, but not, because you're asked to do something. It's like, well, I'm this. Okay, well, I need you to do this, which encompasses what you are, but I need you to add this to your plate.
Mm-hmm.
How do you, how do you make sure that you don't lose the player in both job titles and have them focus on, I need you to be both, but I don't want you to lose your identity and who you are. Am I making any sense?
Yeah. The cool thing about the modern player is I think that they define themselves less by position than we ever did and more from attributes. And what I mean by that is because there's so much more tactical flexibility in the game as it's continued to evolve. Back when I played, there wasn't as much of that tactical flexibility. I think players know that their attributes are certain things. So take Midge Purse, for example. I don't know how she approaches this mentally, but she is an attacking player. And I'm sure she would say, I'm a winger in some ways. However, if you have a system like Juan Carlos Amoros has that they want to go forward, they want to attack, he releases his outside backs, he pinches in his winger so his outside backs can go, he'll say, well, if we have the ball 70% of the time, 60% of the time, you will be an attacker. You're just starting a tad lower. And so I think it's all about leadership and how a coach frames that for a player. It can be hard because you feel like you have a defensive responsibility that maybe you did not have. But I like seeing the flexibility of players. And I do think we have more flexible players than we've ever had in the women's game.
How prone are you in those situations as a player to, if you're starting a little further back, then how prone are you? And I guess this gets into player discipline. It's like, oh, I see a moment for like the first version of me, and then you realize, oh crap, I need to be the second version of me instead. How do you resist temptation knowing that opportunity is there for you, but you still have to stay in the collective?
2 things. You have to make mistakes. It happens. I think the biggest part of changing position is just decision making, when to do what. And so you either have to do it and realize, okay, that was right, and those are the moments I need to read to do this, or it was wrong and you get burned and you hope it doesn't hurt your team and people cover. Or you study, you get in that room, you watch video, you look at different moments, you pay attention to other players that play that position, and you have to learn quick, and you have to learn on the fly, and you have to be willing to make mistakes.
When it comes to the rest of the NWSL on the whole, what stuck out from you from the past week?
Mostly focused on my game with Chicago. I think Chicago is one of those teams that everyone talks about that is playing a very defensive system. They're trying to stay in games, and they don't have too many opportunities to go forward from a possession perspective or breaking lines. They have Jordan Heidema who's scoring goals, but I do want to throw it out there that I think we have to remember the players they're missing as well. Mm-hmm. So Jamise Joseph hasn't been playing. Mallory Swanson is on her way back. I don't think you can sleep on Chicago, is my point. Martin Hugren is a coach that I think is very smart, and he wants to play in a different way, but he has to make sure that he has the time to do it and the player personnel. When those two players come back in, I do think it changes this Chicago team. Do I think they're going to like run away with the league or anything? No, I don't think that. Not at all. But I do think that they can be better than they are showing right now with his structure that he has, and then adding in some of those players. Players change games. Let's just be real. They do. Coaching's important, but players change games, and those two players coming back in will make them a different team.
Yeah, and I'm hoping against hope. I wish that they would find a way to stay up there at Northwestern, because I think that that's a great venue. It suits their attendance figures right now, and I would rather have a smaller venue that is full than be in a cavernous venue and you're having a conversation with somebody three sections over, and they can hear you having those conversations.
No matter where it is, a full stadium is definitely the answer. I agree with you. And having an atmosphere that people want to come to across the league anywhere is really important. I do want to bring this up because I did see Dell in the chat saying I didn't ever give him a player that should go into the women's national team. So I'm going to address that now, if that's okay with you, John. Mm-hmm. Two players that one is I think should get more, and one is I think down the line should be looked at. So I believe that Croy Bethune should get more time in with the national team. Sometimes when your club isn't performing necessarily at the exact level, like that can hurt with those national team call-ins. But I believe Croy has such a lovely skill set that most people don't have. And the more she's in there, the more you can see that come out. So like a Lily Johannes coming in, who I don't think they're the exact same profile, but they need more time. I think she's very similar in needing more camp. So I hope Croy gets in more. The other one is Petra Torden. I don't think she's right now. I think she's down the line of someone that could potentially get some camps. I think she's well off from being a consideration for staying in there for a long time. But because she's performing in the league and she's such a surprise the last 2 years, I'd just like to see her get one of those futures camps and just see what she can do. Why not? And I think Emma Hayes has shown that she will give players opportunities. And if we're going to reward from within the league, I think she's one that can be rewarded.
Far out. Absolutely. No. If you see something, say something. Don't worry about me. You're not going to hurt my feelings jumping.
I had this not last week because we didn't do it last week, 2 weeks ago. And I completely forgot to bring it up. And then I saw his comment and I was like, I need to say something. So
it's all good. No worries. Okay, let's go over to Major League Soccer. Kacey D is hanging out with us and talking multiple leagues and Hall of Fame inductions and class reunions and dancing under Serpentina and disco lights and the whole thing. All right, so you had Houston for like the 38th time this year already.
Yes.
And here is the goal from the match. You might recognize a couple of voices here, courtesy of our friends at Apple TV and Major League Soccer.
Number 5 rising. The crowd once again rises. Guilherme all the way across, and once again Colorado just gobbles it up. This is Inale! Sensational! An absolute crackerjack from the German.
The service is much improved. It's well defended initially. However, the first touch of Lawrence Anali doesn't allow anyone from Colorado to close this space. The technical execution to strike through the ball. It's in the back of the net before Zach Steffen even sees this ball. That's how much power is generated by the strike of the outside back.
Banger. Absolute banger from Lawrence Anali. I mean, this was from about 28?
It was well cleared on the defensive corner kick, and he just came out of nowhere. I'm a sucker for a good first touch. And you'll hear it in every single goal call I do. If I notice that the first touch sets everything up, that's exactly what Anali did in that moment. Like, if he has any kind of touch that gets away from him, he's getting crushed on a tackle. But that first touch just allows him to hit the shot. And the shot's amazing, but the shot never happens unless the first touch happens. And I absolutely loved it.
Okay, so for those that didn't get to see it but just got to hear it for the first time, corner kick, and there's a bunch of folks inside the 18, basically from the 12 in, and there's chaos. It gets headed away, and that's the first danger, is the recycled set piece and having to scramble out to a defensive position. Then you have Colorado coming out to defend. Ball gets to Anali. What was that first touch that you saw that gave him the control to fire away?
So the clearance from the front of the 6-yard box was given aerially. So it's pretty high up. And so when you bring that down, there's a tendency to bring it down right at your feet with the top of your foot or something because you're trying to cushion it. He takes it with the inside of his foot to allow himself to step into the shot, but it wasn't so far away that Paxton Aronson could cover the ground necessary on the clearance to block it. And that's what I loved, is it set him up to hit it on the second touch, but it didn't allow defenders to be able to cover the ground necessary to really impede the shot.
And to do that quickly, to settle, to get it to where you want to get that second touch to smash, I mean, that's a lot of things that you've got to register in a very short period of time, because header, clear, beat, 1, 2, settle, fire. I mean, that's a lot that you're having to digest and walk through in a short period of time.
The good news is, a player of that level, when you see a ball coming out and you take your first touch, there's a lot going through your head potentially when the ball's coming to you and you're like, okay. The second you take that first touch, it's like everything goes away. Like, he probably wasn't even registering anything at that point. It's just like touch hit, because you can feel it. Like, you just feel it as a player in that moment. And he was playing left back. He's not a left back. So he's probably like, I am so far up here. I'm going to take my chance right now and go after it. And it was just a capper for him of an incredibly good game, a great run of form. You mentioned I've been on Houston a lot. Ben Olsen's probably getting sick of me. But I've been on that's my 4th game for Houston. And I think I've done 10 or 11 games now, and 4 of them have had Houston in them. Lawrence Anali is in a run of form that is so fun to watch, but also it's imperative to Houston getting the points that they're getting recently.
And you're talking about a team in Houston that is having to get points and in turn get points without having a whole lot of offense to show for it this year. And they're right now 10 matches in, they're only averaging 1.3. They're giving up 1.8. What have you seen here in Houston? Obviously, they've had to navigate injuries at points earlier in the season, and then chemistry, and then try to figure out how you're integrating everybody from Bogusz to McGlynn to Ache version 2.0. What are you seeing in Houston right now that's kind of crossing wires? What is it 10 matches in that you've seen from them that makes them offensively challenged and have to work uphill like this?
There has been a shift in structure that they have had to navigate when they were conceding multiple goals on the road. Ben Olsen had to put a line in the sand of what are we going to do first to make sure that we don't give up this many goals. And he did that before the Orlando City game with a shift to a 4-back system. Okay. It seems counterintuitive because they were in a 5-back system. So you're like, well, there's more defenders if you're in a 5-back system. The problem with that is it becomes a 3-back. And when Lawrence Anali and Dwayne Holmes are jetting forward, there's less people back in transition moments. So they were conceding more goals in wide open games. They have the personality, Houston, to want to go forward and be wide open. So he had to come up with a structure that naturally kept players further back and helped in transition moments. These last few games, it hasn't worked every game, but versus Orlando City and again versus Colorado, he had a team bought into playing in more of a mid-block, in a lower block. And that is hurting Ponce at times because he's not getting service from the wide areas. He hasn't scored this year in regular season. Bogusz and Guilherme are still finding ways to at least be involved. But it has even brought Guilherme's production back a little bit. But the team's winning. So I would assume they'll stay with this and then just try to tweak a little bit to get their attacking players some more opportunities, because you're not always going to have someone strike a perfect ball like Anali did and win 1-0. It's not going to happen every game, but right now it's working.
When you have a 5-back, and I wish I had Jason's whiteboard with me, so I'm going to use my hand.
I should have brought a tactics board.
Well, and I mean, so, and that, but this is what happens when I'm thinking on the fly. So basically, when you have a 5-back, and so basically it's like you have your outside backs here, and then you have your 3 center backs. When you're discussing outside backs and these wingers, they're prone to go forward and want to engage in the attack. Then that gives the opposition, if they're seeing these wingers bombing forward, it presents an opportunity where if there's a turnover, say in the middle third, it creates an opportunity to come over and hit the ball into that space that's left behind. Right. And you have these three center backs having to spread out that much more and cover that much more real estate, and that creates opportunities in the middle channels. So it's almost like pick your poison. If you don't get back in time or don't have the reinforcements of maybe an extra 6 or something. Like
well,
that.
Exactly what we were talking about earlier with players playing different positions when we were talking about Midge Purse. You take a Lawrence Anali, for instance, and in the example you're using, if you put him as a wing back, and I was an attacking player, so I feel like I can get in this mindset. I'm like, well, like I'm kind of a defender. Like I get to go forward. But if you tell Lawrence Anali you're the left back, ooh, that changes my brain as a player. Like I'm like, okay, I've got more responsibility defensively. I can still go forward, but it comes down to decision making. To your point on the tactical side, when you had your 5, I'll go with you. If these 2 players get out of the picture, you have opportunities on both sides in transition to take down the wide channels. But if you have a 4-back and just this player goes forward, they only go forward when it's on the ball's on the strong side. So ultimately, they only have 1 channel to transition down, not 2, because now your 3 are coming from a different direction. So it just limits the transitional opportunities from a defensive standpoint. And I also think it allows them to have a block of players right in front, because the Colorado Rapids, I'm getting in the weeds a little, but the Colorado Rapids play with that 4-box system in the middle where they have 4 players that form that box with wide wingers. So if you get transition wide against Colorado, it's a problem. And if you don't have a really tight central area, it can also be a problem. And Ben Olsen had a system that worked really well to navigate Navajo, not allow him to get on the ball, and Aronson once he came into the game.
See, and maybe you need to have the tactics board at least near you. And so when we have these moments in the future, we're not using our hands to kind of
I know. Well, the worst thing is I could get up and demonstrate, but we don't want that. So
well, but at the same time, it's like, okay, good to know that we need to bring the whiteboard in to sit here.
I got to see if I can find it. I don't coach anymore, but I used to have these little travel tactics boards I would take with me everywhere.
Oh, that's pretty sweet. Where are you this week?
Gosh, that's a good question. No, I'm kidding. FC Dallas. I'm going there. They're playing Salt Lake. I'm very excited about this game. I haven't even dug into the weeds of it yet, but I mean, just look at the 2 teams. Like they're both performing incredibly well. It's at Dallas, so Salt Lake goes on the road. It's going to be a lot of fun for sure.
Yep, the youngins with RSL Gozo, and you bring in Gilavoki.
And it's my first game in my hometown in Dallas, so I've never called a Dallas game, so that's a pretty special, fun moment for me. And my mom's going to be around, and she'll be in the area, so I get to see her on Mother's Day weekend. So it's like a fun weekend ahead.
There you go. As always, it's great to catch up with you and pick your brain, whether it's talking about TV or teams or tactics, and it's a great education, and I love it when we're able to catch up like this.
Thanks, John.
Enjoy your call with FCD and RSL, because you get to see that Diego Luna kid. I've heard he's okay.
He's pretty decent, right?
Yeah, and we get to see how many kids are starting to model their hair after what he's doing these days.
I'm gonna tell Christian he's got to do that with his hair.
Oh, that'd be fantastic! And then he's got to come up with his analogies and his alliteration having to do with the follicles of Diego Luna.
Yes, I'm gonna tell him. Great call by him, by the way, on the Anali goal. I thought. But.
Yes, very, very cool. Kacey, it's always great to see you, my friend. We'll see you next week.
All right, sounds good. Have a good one.